with this, you now have mastery level in building AI automations like this. And I can say about 14 days ago, you're basically a beginner. You had no prior knowledge about AI automation. You didn't know even what a module was. And you didn't know about platforms, like anything and every single thing. But in just 14 days, we built this. Plus, the CRM we also have at the back end that is able to work across every single thing, including the forms and also the error handling, every single thing. Now, what I'm going to do right now is just to give you a recap of what we've done so far since that's on day 11 to day 24. I'm going to give you a recap and you get to see every single thing. I'm also going to make available all these blueprints, every single thing, so you can just plug it into your own. It's very easy. You could plug it in by just clicking on create scenario, and you could have import a blueprint. So in any case where you've been building a couple of things, or probably you've been building other things aside from this, you could also have this installed into your system easily. So this is not to make anyone lazy. I just believe that if you have been together with us all this while, then this is something that you could just use, you could plug in, especially those that you've not gotten all this while. Probably you have issue with any one of them. So though I would advise you to go back to the video and ensure you figure it out. But you can also have all this into your system. I'm giving every single thing. So anyway, to make a quick recap, this is day 25. And everything we've built in layer 2. Layer 2 is the AI automation. For anyone just seeing this for the first time, I'll quickly explain the whole idea about layer 2, and probably there's a 1. Yes, we have been on this series called the 60 days handling the 5 layers of AI. We've handled the first layer, which is about prompting, about prompt engineering, context engineering, even harness as well. And layer 2 is about AI automation. In just 14 days, every single one watching this video that has been with us through this series, have gone from beginners level to mastery level now in AI automation. So basically what we have here now are the systems that we built in layer 2. And we have the scenario here. You can see some of them here. Though we still have more. Most of them were just for explanations and the rest. So, but here are the full builds. Here are things that we have that are working, that we are using as well. The first one is digital receptionist. We started this on day 15. That was about 10 days ago. And the modules, we have about 7 modules there, though everything has different branches. What it does basically is it is going to take a form. Let's open this up. It's going to take a form and the AI classifies it. It's going to direct it to 3 parts, which is using the router, direct it to 3 parts, auth, warm, or code. What this is all about is to take in leads. That is what this is about, to take in leads and to direct them. It's going to send it to the AI, and based on the details of these leads, what they filled inside the form, it's going to classify them as probably this is an auth lead, this is a code lead, or this is a warm lead. And if none of them enters any of this classification, it sends them to a fallback. So that's the one fallback. And what it does is going to send them, depending on which condition which of the parts that they are sent to. If they are sent to auth, it's going to send them an email immediately, which what it does is this email. Let me just bring this out. So this is what I've been explaining. We are going to receive a form detail from a client or from any customer, and when we get it in, it's going to pass it on here to the AI. This AI classifies them and gives an output of either auth, warm, or code. So either auth, warm, or code. And this router is going to be the one to decide what part it should go. So we have 3 parts here, 1, 2, 3, right? This is 1, 2, 3, and we have a fallback. So we explained every single thing, that an auth lead is going to get a booking link immediately. A warm lead will be asked a question, while a code lead will be sent resources, can be probably a PDF or link to a funnel or anything. So the next thing is the fallback. A fallback, this is the backup of the entire system. In any case, our lead doesn't classify as auth, warm, or code, which is highly unlikely. and we have this fallback there which still sends an email, but it sends an email to us instead. And we have each one of them connected to our Notion database. This is our lead database. If you do remember, we have our database. I'm going to open everything up. But here basically is our entire digital receptionist. The role is the same role a receptionist or an assistant takes, which is basically to take in leads and fill in their details somewhere in your CRM to ensure that you can follow up and you have their details somewhere. Now the next thing we did was we added a filter. That's a plus filter. Now this is an anti-spam filter. We added a filter. The filter case that we added here is to be sure that this is actually coming from the right form. So this is coming from the right form, which we just mapped this in. So we added a filter with it. That's the second one here. A support ticket, we built a support ticket as well. This support ticket is in a case where this can be for e-commerce or for a product or for a company, any single person, and you have multiple customers that are probably trying your product and they come across probably technical issue or billing issue or support, or they just need general support. We have a support ticket here as well that we built, and the role of this support ticket is to also take in the details for whichever condition that it is based on. It takes in their details and it's going to send the details here. Probably is a technical issue. You send them to your developers on Telegram, or the details is probably a billing issue. It's going to send it as an email over to you or anyone else in charge. And the other one is going to just be any other decision. This can be like a form of a fallback, which can be probably based on a general inquiry or anything. So it sends it also to this email as well. And you can have them you can update the details of each customer that is sending this for support. You can update them here. So you get to understand that you have a record kept on history of this person reaching out to you for support as well. So that is the next one. And what we have here is a weekly digest. This is it here. So what this does, this is going to get this is for in a case where there's a founder or there's a business owner. Every Monday by 8 a.m. is going to take every lead from the previous week and send them all directly to the founder. So this founder gets to see every single condition or every single lead that I've reached out. It could send more like a reminder to this person that there are some leads that are still unattended to. The next one that we also built here, aside from this, is the daily warm reminder. Now what this does is very clear. This is more like a continuation to our digital receptionist. Anyone which is also a warm lead and we still need to qualify them to become an hot lead. What this does is to basically every single day by 8 a.m. is going to search our Notion database and see if there's anyone that is a warm lead, and this warm lead is going to get sent their details and every single thing is going to get sent via email directly to you. That is what this does. And there's also a monthly code archiver. What this does, this is one of the things that it was like a personal project I gave you guys to build. So I remember this is basically for when we have a warm lead reminder, we also have a monthly code lead as well. And the role of this is every first day of the month is going to search our database for the code leads and is going to update them and give a summary on directly to us on our code lead. It's basically letting us know that we have some people that are still considered code leads and we need to ensure we warm them up. They need to get familiar with probably your product, or you give them free resources. You just give them things to make them become a warm lead and go forward to an hot lead basically. Now the last one we have is a lead to client conversion scenario. Now this was what we built to connect every single one of the database, every single thing we've been doing. We connected every single database together with just 3 modules, as simple as just 3 modules. Now we did this with the help of also using Notion as our CRM, and we have it here. This is our lead tracker, our client database, our project database, our lead tracker database as well. Let's open all this up so we can, and this one as well. All right, so we have these 3, and you can see this is our lead tracker. This was what we used for our digital receptionists, our lead intake. once anyone fills in their form on Tally here, that should be this. So these are lead intake system. This is the form. You can also use your website. So if it's your website or probably any form of people being able to fill in, can be a website, can be a landing page, can be a sales funnel, is going to get this person. It can be a sales page, anyone it is going to take this person's detail and is going to send it directly to the digital receptionist, which the role of this automation is to fill every single thing up. So it fills this up, and the next thing it does is when you see this, if there's anyone considered an hot lead and this person, you go on a call with this person eventually after sending the booking link and you close this person. Now the next thing it does is once you close this person, it's going to what? It's going to receive it here and it's going to update a database, which means you're going to what? Have them as your client in your client's database. This is a lead database. There's a difference between a lead and a client. A lead is more like a prospective client, someone that is interested, someone that might be interested in your services or your products. And to have the person converted into a client, you need to obviously seal the person, have the person convinced enough, or try to solve the person's problem by placing, the very clear to them. Now, them having this solution, they decide to work with you. You have them as your client's ear. Once you have them closed here, this this automation is going to run and it's going to send them to client and create a client profile for them, which is this. Once it creates a client profile, you also have a status, which the role is to get them onboarding and have their project active. Once this is active as well, you can know that you are working with this person. You could be creating a couple of projects for this same person. This is a related project for Danny. How do we have this? You have to manually go in. You could also create an automation for this, but you could manually go in and create a project name, assign this to magnets, and assign this to a client, which you can pick from your existing client. It's going to pick from the one you have here. Since we've connected them, so we could pick Dave now. You could see currently Dave is the one on top and he has no project assigned to him. But you could assign this to Dave and say this is for Dave. And you could say this is probably you are building it at the moment. Guess what? Dave already has one assigned to him as well. So, and the total number of projects can be calculated here. So you get to see it. And you could also do more things. You could spice this up by adding the price, the budget, every single thing for this. So you have a monthly retainer here where you could just put in, the cost of how much, you are running this every single month, how much you are getting from the client every single month, which is an example could be you are getting 500 from this client. You could see it just converted it for us, and you are getting 700 from this client as well. So you could be sure that yes, this is how much you are getting for receptionist. Now, if you notice what we have here for projects here, I have 2 projects for just Danny, and you can see this. So I can bring this down by expanding it, and I have these 2 projects. Now, each project is also possible for you to check each project. You could open up each project. This is not going to do any, and talk about the details of each project. So you get to know, you have knowledge on what exactly you're actually building for this person. So this is why Notion is very interesting. Having a CRM generally is very interesting, because you could do all this by easily connecting this. And we did all this in just one day. Just one day, we did it together. As for setting up the other automations, we did it over the span of 2 weeks together. Every single day, we're focusing on just one thing. We're ensuring we build something that is very strong. So while having this, I need to do one more thing, which is what I'm going to tell you about now. That is error handling. Now, error handling, basically, we're going to try this. This is actually okay. Every 15 minutes, and we then complete this. Store incomplete, then okay. So we have an error handler now here, and we could copy this and paste it as well. Connect this over here and copy and paste and connect over here, then save. What does an error handler do, and how do we work around this? The error handling system basically are directives where you put in place to ensure that whatever you have there, if at any point it breaks, probably due to a couple of issues. We addressed a bit of this as well yesterday on day 24, where probably due to API or rate limits exceeding, or let me say you changed or you made any changes anywhere that affected the entire system. We have our error handling modules, or we have our error handling directives, which will ensure that whatever you do can also can be protected. So this, in any case, if what we have here is probably a connection or a server problem, it's going to try it after 15 minutes, and it's going to try it 3 times. So all these are set in place. Unlike using a platform like Zapier, which you could not have this in place, you have to, by yourself, you have to go into Zapier and fix everything up. So I also talked about that. That is a separate day where I talked about the differences and more like the advantages Make.com has over Zapier. So we also talked about that as well. And I've shown you our 3 Notion CRMs, which is the project, the client, and the lead. And I've shown you how to create all this. And it's also possible, I could also share this with everyone by easily going, which is the CRM you have here and various others here. These 3 database Notion CRM, which are the various CRMs we have here, this project, the client, and the lead. And what I'm going to also do as well in this same video, I'm going to attach a duplicate. So you should be able to have this exactly the way it is. You should be able to have it sent to you. And how I do that is very simple. I just have to share this with you by publishing it. Once I publish it, you should be able to duplicate it as a template. So this will be available to you. Every single one of them will be available to you for you to be able to have this directly into your Notion. So the way it pops up for you, when you copy this and you have to duplicate it, will just be this form. So when you see this, all you have to do is, I hope it doesn't log in directly into my account. If it does, we have to, so how it just shows up basically. So you see this icon where it tells you to duplicate. You can see this icon here. And once you click on this, it's going to be automatically added into your Notion account. So you do this for several, this, and this as well. I'm going to make everything available. So the thing you might have to do by yourself might be to connect this. I taught you how to connect a database to the other, which is just changing the property. It's a two-way relation. You need to ensure that it's connected to the exact property that you want. So, and I also explained, I gave an explanation on how to do this. I have every single thing available in the resource guide I made for the previous days. And I believe that this one is for day, let's see, this is for day 22. So you can check this on day 22. You see the resource guide where I explained how to connect this into the other CRMs, into every single thing here. So you get to connect them. So that was what we had there. And this is a takeaway we had all through our layer 2, right from day 11 to day 24. The first one we did was I explained the scenario architecture. I explained how to name each module, how to name each module and how to bring in each module, what these modules do. And that's the type, the tool, the purpose. I explained about adding notes as well, which an example is what we have here, where I mentioned what you adding notes so other people in your team or developers know what exactly where these changes might take place, and a possible way to just have this corrected. Or this can also be a form where you use to talk to other developers on what to update or what exactly they need to work on next. So the other thing I talked about is how to organize these scenarios into client folders, which I have here. So, and this is just based on organization. This just ensures that whatever you have is structured. I added every single thing on layer 2 from day 11 to 24. You can see every single thing added in a folder here. How to create a folder? Just click on this, and this is all my scenario. If I want to add one more like this, I could just click on this. I could click on this and move to folder. I'll pick the folder and pick this. And here I'm going to move, and we see it appear as the 7th one here. So you can see this is it. So I believe we added 2. I believe we added 2, just one, rather just this. This was here. I should turn this on. So this was what we added just now, as you guys can see. So the next one that we did, applying 18 item pre-launch checklist. So I remember we have this checklist that anytime you are done building a scenario. These are the things that you need to ensure before you send this over to your client, or before you send this live, or before you publish this or make it live. So these are the steps you have to take, and that is in day 16 as well. So let us go back to day 25. So we've done that as well. And the next one is intelligent routing. This was where I explained about the differences between the filter and the router. And an example is what we have here, where we made use of filters and routers, and we explained the different types of filters as well. We also explained how to get these routers around. The different type of filters, this was where I explained about the differences between filters and routers. And this was where I believe that let's see. All right. So this was where I explained these routers and the different operators in routers, the basic, the text, the numeric or the number operators, the date time operators, the time operators, the arrays, the boolean, and yeah, I mean, we explained all these things, we talked about it, and knowing when to use a router versus when to use a as well. Basically, filters are like the cheapest ways of deciding if you are going to let a data in or not. While routers are basically like paths to know if, like the auth code and warm example I gave you here. So rather than just having them sent to every single one of them, we want this to only route to the auth lead email, and we want this to route to the warm lead email. We want this to route into the code, and we set in. These routers are 4 parts, right? The 3 parts are for the 3 conditions: auth, code, and warm. While we want this here, we set a filter to ensure only those that are auth should come through, and we set other filter conditions for warm and for code as well. And lastly, we also set a fallback. A fallback basically works in a case, once again, a fallback just basically works in a case where it doesn't satisfy the conditions of the filter, which is either auth, warm, or code. So in this case, we have a fallback that just ensures that we don't lose any lead, whatsoever the lead is, we don't lose them. That is what a fallback is. And yes, I already explained that. And the logic behind it, all conditions must match. That's basically what I already explained right here, where you must ensure it matches the logics behind it. This is based on the if, then, or else, where I explained that what the router basically does is it asks if it should go through, if it satisfies a particular condition. If it satisfies the auth, then it should It should go through. It should allow it to go through and do anything it wants to do. And if it doesn't, else it should see if it satisfied this, then it should go through. Else it should just enter the fallback instead. So that's what we have on intelligent routing. This is without an AI. Another thing is data at scale. This was where we started recognizing that we could have a bundle, or we could have an array of bundles. That means we could have multiple instances where we needed to process like batch data in batches. And where we did that here, let's open this up. We did that in daily warm leads follow-up reminder. Wow, that was very long, but yeah, that's what it does. So we did that in search objects, and in this place, what it does is it basically searches through every single one here. If this lead is not hot, if this lead is warm, what this does is it's going to search for how many leads are warm here. Let's turn this to warm as well. So we have 3 leads that are warm. So it searches this database. That's what this does, search objects. So it searches this database for leads that are considered warm, that equals warm. So, and it also checks the status as well. Are they new leads? Where is the status? We pick this in. This status, they are closed. If this is considered closed, it's going to skip it, because the status the filter condition we are setting there is and, not or. So we are setting a and condition where we are saying, is this lead tier warm, and is it also new lead? So in this condition where we have this closed, it is not going to consider it as one of the ones it's going to pick right from there. But we have this as new lead, so it's going to pick this since it satisfies warm and new lead. This also satisfies warm and new lead, so it's going to pick 2 out of 3. But if we turn this to what? To new lead, it's going to pick it as well, since it's satisfying both new lead here and also at the same time. So the third thing is going to what? Consider is, since this is a daily warm lead follow-up reminder, within the last 7 days, between now and the previous 7 days, are these people between now and the previous 7 days? So if it's probably a date that is later than that, or that is far earlier than that, it's going to skip them. So what is basically asking here, the filter that is basically asking here is this date within the last 7 days? And this is yes, because it's currently what? Day 25 now, and what we have here is what? 22. So you can see this is still within the last 7 days. But let's see, day 25 minus 7 is 18. This is not considered as the last 7 days anymore, but this is still considered. 20 is still considered. This is no longer considered. So even if this satisfied both warm and new lead, it doesn't satisfy the date. So if you want to work around that, obviously you need to ensure that the date is what? 18, right? 18 at minimum, because it is what? It is a minus 7 between now and the last 7 days. Is this person still a new lead and also warm? This is what it's trying to figure out. So when you do this, it's going to get them in batches. If it's not one person, if it's probably 2, that is what you are having an array already. And how to process an array is to understand how to use an iterator and an aggregator as well. So an iterator basically works in, once it gets the bundle, which is an array, once it gets this, it's going to what? The total number of people that satisfy the old conditions we set here were 3. That means the total number of people where this is within what? The last 7 days, and it's also new lead and warm. Also warm, new lead, and it's also within the last 7 days. Today is 25, and this is what? So the last 5 days, right? So this last one also still satisfied because it's day 18, and what? Because of that, we're able to get them at 3. So 3 bundles in. Since it's taking every single one of them, you're going to pick the one on top. So it takes every single one of them and makes them an array. An array is just what? Is a list of leads, or is a list of objects, is a list of bundles. That's what an array is. An array is not just one person. An array is like you are having me and 2 others in the line. So, and to process us individually, to ask us questions individually, you need to what? Ensure we are not together. But you are taking us at once from here, and you are processing us one by one to ask us question individually. Now, when you ask us this question, you need to what? You need to gather our answers and send it to your superior, or send it or save it somewhere, or do anything with our data. So rather than having to send this every single time, once you're done with me, you send it to someone, the person has to look at it, and what? Once you're done with the second person, you send it to the person you are reporting to, you're sending to the third person, you are asking the third person, and you are sending to the person you report to again. This is a lot of stress. So how do we ensure that once you ask us individually these questions, you can take all our answers and send it at once to that person? That is where you get to use an aggregator. There are different types of aggregator, and this is it. When you search for an aggregator here, you see this. You can see there's array aggregator, there's what? There's text aggregator as well. There's text aggregator, and there are also 2 other aggregators, which are table and what? Numeric aggregators. So based on the name, you already understand what this does. So a text aggregator processes based on the text from what? From the bundle, while an array aggregator processes and gives you back an array, right? So a numeric processes numbers, and what? While this one processes text, because what we're receiving from here are text, right? So the other one, which is table, processes in tables as well. That is what this does. So I've been able to explain across all this. So for the production grade reliability, this is where we also what? We also talk about still on our error handling directives, where we talk about the break, ignore, or the resume directives. So it's still the same thing. What they are saying here, what I'm talking about here, is basically this. This it was initially called break, but now it is called retry, and there are others here as well. How do I get them? Let me just let's cancel this. let's remove this, unlink this, and add a new error handler. Now when we see all these error handlers, we get to understand we have what 5 error handlers here. There's skip, there's retry, there's resume, there's commit, and there's rollback. What does a skip do? A skip is basically what? Ignore. It was initially called ignore. That is ignore. What we have here, this retry, what? Retry was initially called what? The break. So, and the other ones as well. There's a resume, there's rollback, and there's commit. You can see resume here. But these three, I can say are the 3 basic ones that you might really want to use. I haven't used this much. I only used this recently, and I believe I used this in one of our recent build. I used this in the digital receptionist, where I realized that the condition of what we needed there was not actually a break, which means I don't need something that asks it to retry to attempt it every single time. What I need there, okay, I use the resume and I use a commit as well. So in this case, a resume is basically what? Giving you I would say more like a fallback value. So what is happening here is that while this AI might give us any error at any point, we are thinking it might give us any error. So rather than giving a break directive, or what we call it now, a retry directive, rather, to retry it, is basically telling it, let us try. Maybe it was a server error or one error that can fix itself from the server side. So, but in any case, we discovered that rather than doing that, we could do a resume. So this is supposed to take in what? It's supposed to bring out an output, which is hot, warm, and cold. In any case, if we have an error, if we have anything that happens to this module, this is a fallback value. What this has inside is warm. The results this was supposed to give us, if anything happens to this just what replaces it with a value called warm. So when you guys want to understand this is our hot, our warm, and our cold modules. This is our fallback. These 3, this one is the warm, right? This is the hot and cold. This warm is supposed to what? Be getting, based on the filter we set here. This is the filter we set here. Warm. It's supposed to be getting this directly. You can see the result is supposed to what? Be warm. When it is warm, not hot, it's going to what? Pass through into this. But whenever we have an issue come up here, what we do instead is we let this be the fallback. It's going to just what? We are giving it the result. So it's going to send this result instead into the router, and the router sees that it only satisfies here, and it sends it here. Why? Which condition came up for us to bring this up? A warm requires us to still use our daily warm reminder, right? That means later on, the next day, we'll be sent an email using this. It's going to send us an email of the people that are currently on warm, and we are going to look through it. So by looking through it, we will see who is actually supposed to be on hot instead. So probably we had an issue come up here. We're going to come back and check to see if we actually had an issue that made it give us warm. If we didn't, that means that person is meant to be warm. That means this categorizes the person as warm. We can also check our execution history to confirm that as well. So all these are just based on the error handling routes and the debugging workflow. Now for this, what I explained about this is you need to understand that after building something like this, you need to have a way to debug in case of any issues that come up. And one of the ways to see incomplete executions means executions that probably stopped due to something. And how do we get incomplete execution? Whenever we use this break or this retry, it's called retry now, it's going to what? Save them somewhere and try them again. This is what we have here. These were saved and tried multiple times. So this is an history of every single thing we've been working on, any changes, any adjustments we make, everything gets saved. Any run that we also make here is also saved here. So here you get to see what different types of status. There's the success, there's the warning, there's the error. And there are also some where you just see gray. It's going to show gray, which means that it was paused due to something. Now this gray is where it saved the incomplete execution. This success means that, it went through, everything is okay. This warning means that probably something came up, just a little mistake, might be, let me say, a filter condition, or might be just one slight thing that you might need to look into. While the error happens, an example, whenever, let me say, there's a change in ID or change in token or API key, Another time might be probably when there's a change in IP or anything, when there's a change in API key rather, what happens most of the time is probably from a module. So an error comes up whenever there is a module that stops, that gave us an issue. An example, this module gave us an issue because of what? Permission denied. It did not have access to the particular form and we were calling it. So it's going to obviously deny it. So that's what we have here. And system infrastructure thinking is how we're able to build together this project, client, and lead database using Notion. And we use Notion, we created a couple of things. We use Notion relations, which is an example of this here, where we related it to, from this client's project here, we related it to this client, this particular client, Dave. We related it here. So it connects their details here. We get to know which clients we're talking about and everything. So we talked about that. And roll-ups. Roll-ups basically is just this. Let me see. This is roll-up. There is the total number of projects that we are working on for that particular client. The total number of projects. You can see it here. So it's very simple. It's just explaining that. And scheduling patterns. The scheduling patterns basically is just trying to state what exactly are we working with. Are we working with what? Instant. This is not an instant. This is a polling, or this is more like categorized as a scheduling trigger. So what we have here, we can either, in most cases when we're using a webhook, we might have what? Immediately as data arrives. That's the only time we have what immediately as data arrives, whenever we have a webhook. So, but in cases where a polling, a scheduling trigger is also a type of a polling trigger, but in most cases they are also splitted sometimes. Why? Is because a polling trigger works at regular interval, while a scheduling trigger works like probably daily or once or weekdays or weekly or monthly. Now the difference between the both of them is that for a webhook is the one that it gets data pushed into it. It listens. A webhook literally listens every single time. It's active, 24/7 active, and once a data is being sent to it, it grabs it immediately. While a scheduling trigger or a polling trigger or plus or a polling trigger in this case doesn't listen. At the appointed time you set to it, probably at regular interval, you saying every 15 minutes or every 1 minute or every 150 minutes, is going to go there and take the data itself in. That is what this does. So this goes and takes the data in by itself. It pulls the data in. That is the difference between a webhook trigger, which is an instant trigger, and from a scheduling or stroke and a polling trigger as well. So that is what all this is about. And I told you also about the time zone issue, where I mentioned the fact that when you set this up, you need to know that your time zone, this is the time zone it's using. So if you are doing this for a client, you need to ensure that it is fixed on the client's time zone, and it works for his or her business, because their customers might be on a separate time zone entirely. So in most cases, you need to work with the client's time zone, and you can do that by going to your organization and setting things up. You can go to your organization here and set things up by going to your organization setting, where you get to work on the time zone. You could also do this per your team, so each team can have a different time zone actually. So in this case, the next thing is now the client's playbook. These are 5 systems you can sell right now. Based on what I've shown you guys, we've literally built all this together, and I'm pretty sure that a couple of you have built this. You were building this alongside when I was doing it as well. So you know what we're going to do? Let's remove this that we don't need here. We remove this. Yes, thank you very much. Well, we delete it entirely. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 actually, more than 5. But we are not using this. So we're just using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, you can imagine a scenario where you have to build this for someone else. I would first tell you, build this for yourself. However, if you are working with an agency and you see that their structure or their operations, they're not able to manage it very well, they don't have a way to see a CRM where they manage clients, where they understand which projects they are building with a client or anything, you can build this up for them. I've worked with agencies as well, and I believe that a lot of agencies need this, especially agencies, though most of them do have this, but for a lot of agencies that are just starting, they need something like this. It's better than even having to pay for an expensive CRM platform out there. So you could build what? The first thing, a lead intake and classification system, which is what we have here, the digital receptionist. What you are building for yourself, you could build it for someone else as well. The second one is the support ticket routing. That's what we have here. And the third one is the scheduled performance digest. This is what we have here. And the next one is the CRM setup. That's the project, the clients, the tracker, the database I built on Notion, every single thing here, having it connected to each other. So that is for that. The other one is the error monitoring and reliability package. You could literally help a lot of businesses out there using that have their automations built, because one of the things and reasons why I made the video of yesterday is because I noticed that a lot of people are having errors, and a lot of freelancers out there, especially on Upwork, which I saw, they are being reported or talked about on Reddit, where clients are mentioning that they are probably fake accounts. And that's because most of these people do not have the basic error handling knowledge and what they are meant to do. So I explained every single thing in just the previous video, that's day 24, where I explained how to professionally error handling directives into the whole automation. And this applies not just to make.com, this also applies to anything. So you need to know that every single thing I've been talking about, the only difference between these platforms is that they are the visuals and a couple of things about them is just different. The idea being an AI automation specialist is what is in your head, how you think, how you apply these things. So the only difference are platforms. We don't care about platforms. Why? Is because what we are concerned about is providing value, building an AI automation system or a scenario or a module or anything, bringing it up to ensure that we solve a particular problem in a business. That is what we're after. So you can apply the knowledge in AI. So you can apply the knowledge of the error handling directives into several other platforms as well. And finally, the combined system. Now, what I did for each of them is that I put it on a price range, which I believe that it's possible for even a small business to build this. So you could You could sell this for a price range. I remember that was probably day 4. That was our previous layer when we were talking about how to price. Now, there are several ways I already explained how to price, but if you want to look into it very well, I explained how to, was that day 4 or day 6? So I believe I have it here. Is this it? This is not it. Okay, I don't think this was it. The pros, the show. I believe this is it though. Yeah, this is it. So it's on our day 6. You can look into this. Though what I talked about here was about how to price based on prompt engineering and everything. You could apply the same thing. What can you build? What can you build that could replace a virtual assistant that this person is paying $20 per hour? Now let us calculate it real quick and how you can also price based on whatever you've built. So if you see that this lead intake system, this person might have to pay someone to be in charge of this $20 per hour. In this case, this person is paying $20 per hour. The VA spends 10 hours a week filtering and reapplying to leads. So you should notice that this person is being paid $200 per week and $800 per month, and that is almost $10,000 per year. Now imagine you are just telling this person, rather than spending a $10,000 per year, this person just has to pay probably $1,000 or less. $1,000 or less. Now the price I added here, I should probably just duplicate this. The price I added here, let's check this out, where I added in the day 25. We could see how realistic this is. I had to even cut it down. Between 400 to 750 is how much you can collect for what. And you've literally done the job of a VA. You are getting leads in, you are saving them in a CRM automatically. So you can see how possible this is. So rather than even having to pay you 1K, this person can pay you between 400 to 750. Let's close this up. Between 400 to 750 one-time build, and a monthly maintenance of between 150 to 300, which is actually better. This is better than having to pay a VA $800 per month. So when you give a price based on this, a client will have to think about it and reason how much they are saving in a year compared to having to hire someone for every single thing like this. So the next one is what? It supports ticket routing. This also is a lot of work, and if given to a VA, the person might still be able to what? Handle these two at once. Fine. Having to do more, it's not possible. So that was why I set in a price for each of them. They are very realistic price, because I believe these are actually small compared to what agencies, AI automation agencies, are building for clients outside there on Upwork and the rest. I'm seeing a lot of reviews and they are very good. It's good to place a price on whatever you are building based on the what. However, I feel like if you want to really convince someone, you need to do something like this. So when you have every single thing in place, you can use this same idea, the pricing math, and you can use this to talk to your client, convince them to actually pay. You don't even need to convince them. This is enough for you to tell the person based on the math, and you can just hold your words, and they have to decide if it's worth it or not. So if you tell them they get to save, how much is it? $9,000 per year. Every year, by having an automation or two automations like this, you've done well. It's convincing enough, actually, for me, the way I see it. So every single thing, I added the price to it, and the package for everything. If you have 3 clients, and let's assume if you build all this for a particular client or a particular business, you could build everything, just round it all up to a 2,000 to 3,500. This, if they want to have a team or someone to help them across all this, these clients will have to be paying probably 2 or 3 people, and that should be going to about $30,000 in a year. Now imagine having to build this for this person, and you build every single thing for 3,000 or 2,000 to 3,500, and you are currently a monthly retainer of this. So you see how much you get to save for this person. You save a lot of money for this person, because this person will have to pay probably 1/3 of how much is actually supposed to pay for hiring people there. So that is everything for layer 2. And what I believe layer 2 has not addressed is layer 2 have only covered make.com integration, approximately, I keep making a mistake here, 3,000 apps. And yeah, every single thing, we've addressed every single thing. However, when a client needs an internally built system with custom API, this a niched tool that is not in make.com's library, or an advanced webhook configuration or custom authentication flow, you need layer 3. You need to understand more in depth. You need to know that there's a possibility outside there that is beyond just the general thing we've thought about AI automation. And that's where layer 3 comes into place. So layer 3 is like basically the door. I call it the door, because layer 3 is about API, HTTP, documentations, and when you are using this, you are no longer limited to just apps that you see here. You see various apps here. Everything's connected to apps, but this time around, you won't just use apps. You can make connections without having an existing integration or app that make.com already has. So this time around, we're going to learn a lot of things basically, and that will take us between day 26, which is tomorrow, to day 40. So we're going to work on this also for about 15 days. So in the next 15 days, I'm telling you guys, it's going to be fun. And yeah, I expect you guys to still be stuck on this channel or wherever you are watching this, and follow the series to day 40 and see how far and how much more you get to enjoy by working across this. So in just a couple of days more, I can tell you'll be above obviously 99% of people out there that are just working on automations or they are building for people. So with this, I'm going to say we have many more coming in. Yeah, I'm happy I've been able to work to this point. I personally am also happy to have recorded a video as this for layer 1 and layer 2. For tomorrow, or from tomorrow henceforth, for layer 3, I'm pretty sure we have a lot to talk about, and you also learn a lot of things as well. And yeah, I'll be looking forward to seeing you guys once again. All right, see you guys.